As the dust settles over the scorched plains of northern Mali in early May 2026, the global community is witnessing a shocking reversal in the balance of power that has left international mediators in total disbelief. After launching a brutal and coordinated offensive in late April that reached the very gates of strategic strongholds, the alliance of Al-Qaeda linked jihadists and Tuareg separatists has suddenly changed its tune, reportedly reaching out through back channels to beg for a ceasefire and a return to the negotiating table. But the answer from the military leadership in Bamako has been a cold and final no. In a move that has turned diplomats in Paris and Washington, the Malian government has officially slammed the door on any dialogue with those it calls lawless killers, choosing instead to double down on a mission of total military victory. Good day, you're watching the Global Observer. Our lead story today examines the collapse of the rebel alliances, confidence, and the high-stakes gamble by the Malian junta to settle this decade-long conflict on the battlefield once and for all. To understand why the rebels are suddenly desperate to talk, dear viewers, you have to look at the sheer scale of the violence they unleashed just days ago. On April 25th and 26th, a marriage of convenience between the Azawad Liberation Front and the JNIM jihadists led to the massive strike that killed Mali's influential defense minister. It was a move designed to break the spirit of the nation. It felt like a repeat of the dark days of 2012 when the North was lost to chaos. But something went wrong for the insurgents. They captured towns like Kidal and tried to choke the capital, Bamako, with a fuel blockade. But they realized they couldn't hold what they took. Like a thief who steals a car but realizes he has no gas and no place to hide. The rebels are now feeling the heat of a government that refuses to blink. Foreign Minister Abdoulaye Diop made the government's position crystal clear this week during a meeting with top diplomats. He looked the world in the eye and said that Mali does not talk to terrorists. He called the rebel groups lawless and blamed them for every tear shed by the Malian people over the last 10 years. For a long time, the script for Africa was always the same. When the things get bad, you go to a hotel in Europe and sign a peace treaty. But Bamako is tearing up that script. They are saying that the time for talking is over because you cannot negotiate with a group that chooses to team up with Al-Qaeda. By choosing to fight alongside extremists recognized by the United Nations, the Tuareg separatists have essentially signed their own political death warrants in the eyes of the state. But why are the rebels begging now? Much harder than attacking it. The rebels are now sitting in towns like Kidal, but they are surrounded by a Malian military that is more aggressive than ever. The government is using high-tech drones and heavy air power to turn these rebels-held towns into traps. The insurgents, thought they could force the government to give them a piece of the pie through violence. Instead, they found a government that is willing to let the pie burn before they share it with killers. The strategic lens here is simple. The rebels are running out of supplies, running out of friends, and running out of time. This refusal to talk is also a massive no to the old international order. For years, groups like the UN and France pushed for inclusive dialogue. They wanted everyone at the table. But the current military junta sees that as a trap. They believe that talking to rebels only gives them time to regroup and kill more civilians. By saying no to dialogue, Mali is also saying no to the foreign advisors who who have presided over 10 years of failure. It is a bold move towards total sovereignty. They are betting everything on the idea that a nation must be won on the battlefield before it can be governed in the office. While the government stands firm, the situation on the ground remains incredibly tense. In the wake of the April attacks, reports are coming in of shadow operations in the capital. Opposition figures and military personnel have reportedly disappeared or been detained. The government is on a war footing, and that means they are looking for enemies both in the desert and in the city. It is a high-pressure environment where trust is a rare commodity. The junta is sending a message. If you aren't with the mission of total liberation, you are in the way. This is a tough stance that has polarized the region. But for many Malians, tired of a decade of war, it is the first time they have seen their leaders show a backbone of steel. We have to ask the question, what happens to a rebel group when their begging is ignored? History shows us two paths. Either they collapse from within as the different factions start blaming each other, or they become even more desperate and launch kamikaze-style attacks. The alliance between the secular Tuareg and the religious jihadists was always a shaky one. They have different goals and different dreams. By refusing to talk, the Malian government is hoping to push that alliance until it snaps. They want to drive a wedge between the fighters who just want land and the extremists who want a global caliphate. The world is watching this gamble with bated breath. If Mali succeeds in crushing the rebellion without a single peace talk, it will change the manual on how to handle insurgencies across the entire Sahel. It will also be a massive blow to the negotiating industry that has dominated African politics. It will also be a massive blow to the negotiation industry that has dominated African politics for decades. But if the war drags and the blockade on Bamako continues to bite, the pressure on the government will grow. This is a game of chicken at the highest level, and right now the Malian military has its own foot firmly on the gas pedal. The black gold of this story isn't oil. It is the newfound pride of a nation that refuses to be bullied. For too long, African conflicts were settled by people who didn't live in the conflict zones. Today, Mali is deciding its own fate. Whether you agree with the tactics or not, you cannot deny the shift in energy. The days of begging for peace are being replaced by a demand for victory through strength. The rebels are at the door, but this time the door is locked from the inside. That said, I would like you to keep watching the Global Observer for more insights.